Good afternoon. It's always exciting every time we have a graduation ceremony to see how many people are willing to put in the time and effort to put themselves in a position to be in that next better place. My grandmother always used to tell me, baby, be careful as you start to work and you start to become increasingly successful, because the hardest amount of money you're ever going to make is enough, right? Because we keep thinking, if I can just get that, and then we get there, we get a little comfortable. And then we start thinking about what's next. And that 46-inch television, you know, is okay. But that 56 would look a little bit better, right? But that notion of enough for all of us, for particularly black folks, that we have been sold this message about what is going to be enough for us. My father turns 80 this year, and for his birthday, we have been putting together a family genealogical chart that traces our ancestries back as far as we can. 3 weeks ago, I found the bill of sale for my great-great-grandfather. At 13 years of age, he was sold into bondage for $500. $500 was enough in this country to buy a human being. And lately there has been this language that has emerged in the black community of us referring to each other as kings and queens. I don't buy into that. Most of us are so cut off from our African ancestry, we don't know that if we came from the most remote villages or we are direct descendants of royalty. My disposition, I would usually be the person probably trying to overthrow the king, so I don't ever allow anyone to refer to me or myself or people around me as kings or queens. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the African descendants of the people the slave owners couldn't kill. Yes. We are beyond royalty. Yes. We are beyond expectation of thrones and crowns. We were the cradle of civilization. So when we get back to this notion of the idea of establishing what is enough for us, we can't allow anyone to define that for us but us. There are times that it's okay to be selfish. You see, that's a word that has kind of gotten twisted. That we've convinced people that this notion of selfishness is a negative or a bad thing. I held on to that idea for a long time until I started traveling a lot, a whole lot. Last year, before coming to accept this position at Flanner House, I worked for a company where I flew more than 240,000 miles last year. So I've been in a lot of airports, eaten a lot of bad food, been on a lot of planes. And most of the time when the flight attendant stands up in the front and she gives the directions and the instructions about what to do in the event of an emergency, no one is paying attention. But one particular thing that she said stood out to me. She said, in the event of an emergency, oxygen masks will drop from the ceiling. Now listen. If you are traveling with a child, a family member, or an elderly person, what I thought she was going to say next is make sure you get that mask on that baby or the person you were traveling with or that elderly person first. No. No, what she said is put your oxygen mask on first and then put the mask on the people who are traveling with you. It's a counterintuitive kind of thing because we, historically, are ingrained to protect, to take care of, to nurture those around us, sometimes to the detriment or the compromise of our own well-being and our own health. But I'm telling you, that act of sometimes reaching up and putting that mask on yourself first, you understand that when the cabin loses pressure and oxygen is sucked out, if you have people there that you are supposed to be responsible for, that you're supposed to be caring for. That if you lose consciousness trying to take care of them, you both die. And for too long, that's what we've seen happen to so many people who have been the caretakers and the providers of us and our family members, is that they will wear themselves out, kill themselves, taking care of everyone else, and not take time to take care of themselves. And so then we talk sadly and fondly and remember them when they used to be with us. I am outraged, ladies and gentlemen, at the current political climate where we have a madman seeking the office of president. A madman who has said the most hateful, racist, misogynistic, vitriolic things imaginable. And the alarming thing is that if the election were held today and only men could vote, he'd win. He'd win. I have a bumper sticker that reads that if you are not outraged, you are not paying attention. It's time to pay attention. And it's time to pay attention to a couple of things. And the first of which to pay attention to is the recognition of a quotation that Shirley Chisholm said when she was the first female presidential candidate in the United States, who also happened to be a black woman. But we've seemed to casually forgotten that in all of the current hype of a white woman running for office.
That's right.
When she said that well-behaved women seldom make history.
Yes.
Well-behaved women seldom make history. See, one of those women who refused to be well-behaved was a woman named Rosa Parks.
That's right.
Got on the bus one day and said, nah, I'm good, I'm not getting up. Right? Because she had had enough. Right? Which launched the trajectory that changed the lives of every single person in this room. We have to acknowledge that in our community, for the last 350 years, while we celebrate and idolize men like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, that there are a tremendous number of women who, had they not been carrying the load for us, there would have been no king. So ladies, it's a unique position that you're in, that you are the complete all-female class. And because the training room is right across from my office, I know you all were not very well behaved. Walls are awfully thin. Here, Mr. Artist, But take some time as you go forward and be selfish. You take care of you. Do what you have to do for you, so that you will be in a position to do everything that you need to do and want to do for all of the people who are here to support you today, for those folks who love you and care about you. Be selfish and take care of you. There's a poem that hangs on the wall in my office that throughout my life has been really instrumental to me personally. It hung on the wall in my office when I was a principal, and every time a student would have a bad day or they'd be frustrated and ready to quit, I'd make them stand up and read the words of this poem written on the wall in my office. It hangs right above my desk. I'm going to share the words of this poem with you today, and I want you to carry it with you, because there are going to be times as you go forward, this is not going to be easy. Right? The thing that I keep telling people is that if doing the right thing was easy, everyone would be doing it. Right? Sometimes doing the right thing is hard. Sometimes doing the right thing means saying no to people you love. Right? Doing the right things means everybody you love can't always go with you. Like, I love you enough to leave you alone. And I love me enough to leave you alone. So I want to share these words with you. And I want you to think about this every time it gets hard. I want you to think about this every time it gets difficult. Because there is an inner strength that is in your DNA. Because as I said at the beginning, you are the descendants of the Africans that the slave owners could not kill. There is a deep strength that relies upon all of you to continue to push all of us forward. The title of this poem is Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud, and under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, or how charred with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank you.